Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kelsey and I'm here today to do a Life is Strange reading vlog. So if you didn't know, Life is Strange is one of my favorite video games. When I played it, I was emotionally distraught. Life is Strange Season 1 was released in 2015 and developed by a company called Node and was published under Square Enix. It was released in 5 episodes and followed an 18-year-old girl named Max Caulfield. Set in the small fictional town of Arcadia Bay, Max experiences visions of a lighthouse being swallowed by a tornado. After witnessing one male classmate murder another female classmate, Max discovers that she has the ability to rewind time. In doing so, she rescues the aforementioned classmate, realizing that it is her childhood friend Chloe Price. The two embark on a journey thereafter to rescue their town, and the game's main mechanic of rewinding time allows players to redo almost any action that they have done previously in the game. Once an event has been reset, the details provided earlier are then able to be used further on. In some instances, choices in dialogue will alter or affect the story through short-term or long-term consequences. For each of these choices, something good could happen in the short term, but something detrimental can happen in the long run, for example. Life is Strange very much changed the way I played and perceived video games when it came out in 2015. The weaving narrative and brilliant mechanics pulled me in like no game ever had, or in all honesty has done again, really. It is still absolutely one of my favorite games and I've been thinking about it quite a lot recently. Part of the charm for this game, besides its time-weaving mechanics, is the way it brilliantly discusses several important themes. Life is Strange touched upon subjects like bullying, sexual assault, suicide, and sexuality, all very hard topics to tackle for a high school student and topics that many high school students do deal with. Max Caulfield and Chloe Price's relationship is the focal point of the final episode, and the impact that that relationship had on me is long lasting. So I went to Reddit and I looked up several threads about books that reminded others of Life is Strange, and I picked up quite a selection, so I'll go through them now. We of course have Blue is the Warmest Color. I think this is definitely because of the LGBTQ plus rep in it, and also the fact that the love interest, I believe, has blue hair, and so does Chloe Price. Then we have Girls on Fire by Robin Wasserman, We Are Okay by Nina LaCour, You Must Not Miss by Katrina Leno, and Before I Fall by Lauren Oliver. So let's get into the vlog. Sorry for the terrible lighting. This is just a situation. I'm not opening the blinds and I'm not putting a ring light on because it's like 37 degrees and the door is closed. But I decided to start off this vlog with Before I Fall by Lauren Oliver, mostly because within the first episode of the game, that is when you discover that Max has the ability to time travel. And the book that has the most relation to this episode would be in Before I Fall, about a girl named Samantha who kind of has it all. She's very popular and it seems to be like everything's going for her, except one fateful day Samantha goes out with her friends. That day turns out to be her last day, until Samantha wakes up the next morning and relives the day again. So far I'm about 60 pages and I do believe we are at the day where Samantha will relive. We haven't gotten to the point where she does pass, so really looking forward to how that happens and how she wakes up the next morning and her main thoughts. I can already tell just by Samantha's character that she is a kind of a mean person, a very snobby, egocentric kind of teenager. I can see this going where each time Samantha goes in the past or relives the day, essentially, she redoes whatever she did wrong that day, which is a big theme in Life is Strange. And part of the charm in Life is Strange is that when you made mistakes, you can go back in time to change them with the knowledge that you know of what could potentially happen. However, going back in time and changing bigger things affects things later on in the game that you might not have realized. So looking forward to seeing how this relates. I will keep you updated. Hello everyone. So much like my will to film videos, my will to vlog just wasn't there this week. However, my will to read was definitely there, and I finished Before I Fall by Lauren Oliver. So I think the way we're gonna go with this is, one, did I enjoy the way that this book was in general, a general review. The second way I'm going to do it is, how does it relate to Life is Strange, and do I feel like the people on Reddit and whatever who recommended this book were correct? So overall, I did enjoy this book. I was, as you saw in the previous clips, a bit apprehensive to go into this novel, simply because this was a very 2010 YA, and I was apprehensive as to the writing and language that was prevalent, that was okay during that time into this book. I do have to say this was very 2010. The main character in this book is a catty and mean popular girl, and therefore she bullies people and she is not a nice person. And obviously the goal of the book is that going through the day of her death over and over again, she becomes a better person. I ended up giving this 3 stars. I will go into the main reasons why. I want to reiterate that this was a very interesting book. I did enjoy the growth that Samantha went through and the person she became. This is a common trope in these like Groundhog Day books. Obviously these people are coming back again and again, day in and day out, to learn a lesson, which Sam did. And I also really enjoyed the character that she became. However, I did find this to be a tad repetitive. Samantha grew as a character. People around her obviously don't. We learn more about them and we understand the reasons as to why they are the way that they are. However, they do remain stagnant and don't necessarily grow within the book, especially Samantha's best friend Lindsay. While understanding Lindsay for being the way that she is, I did find her to be really annoying, mean, and cocky, and I wish that she kind of grew, but I understand that for the other characters in the book, they haven't grown in 24 hours. So I will put spoilers at the bottom now to get into why I really did not enjoy the book's ending. I also want to say that there are trigger warnings for suicide in this book. So in this book, the whole goal of Samantha's journey is to save this girl named Juliet from committing suicide. Juliet is a girl that Samantha and her friends bully on the daily. They are absolutely disgusting people to her. On the day that Samantha dies, Juliet passes away as well. Samantha spends the repeated days trying to save Juliet, or trying to make Juliet happy, or trying to apologize to Juliet on behalf of what her and her friends have done. And obviously this doesn't work, because for Juliet it is still the same day. She's still going through the same emotions and feelings that she has been. And the way that this is solved is that instead of Juliet running in front of the car, Samantha pushes her out of the way and therefore dies in Juliet's place. And this is kind of the way that the world solves itself. And I just didn't think that was okay. I didn't like that all the problems could be resolved with one character taking the place of another in regards to taking one's own life. I don't like that she kind of was seen as a hero. Like, she pushes Juliet out of the way, Juliet calls her a hero. Didn't sit right with me, made me very uncomfortable. This was overall interesting. I understand that the ending was supposed to be impactful, and I'm sure it was impactful for a lot of readers at the time or even now. For me, it just wasn't as effective. However, I would say that this is very Life is Strange. Although Max in the video game is not this popular, mean, bitchy type of girl, she does go out of her way to turn back time and try to save things and make things worse or better for the other characters that surround her. Samantha did the same. And spoiler warning for the video game as well, but there is a scene where Max is faced with trying to save or help one of her friends from committing suicide. And I think both the video game and this book utilize suicide in a way to make players and readers feel bad for one character and feel amazing for the other character who saves them, depending on what happens in the game. So I would definitely agree with Redditors that this book is fairly similar to Life is Strange. I think we do need to understand that this was written in 2010, so the language used and the characters that we see are a tad snobbish, annoying, and not as well developed. However, the theme of utilizing time traveling, time manipulation, save people or to fix situations and it not going 100% well is very prevalent in this book. So the next book I wanted to read for this vlog is Girls on Fire by Robin Wasserman. Like I said in my TBR, this book takes place on Halloween in 1991. One of the high school basketball stars is found dead in a woods near their town of Battle Creek, Pennsylvania, and the discovery of his death leads to a lot of rumors about like Satanism and satanic worship happening in the region. Subsequently, a bright but lonely Hannah Dexter is befriended by a girl named Lacey Champlain, who is a dark-haired Cobain worshipping bad influence, and obviously they form a bond. The reason I'm picking this one up is because it really relates to the kind of underground subplot of the video game. So within Life is Strange, there is this like not cult-like thing that's happening with the high schoolers, but it is a very like underground party scene that is leading to a lot of horrific things that are happening within the high school town. Interested to see how this relates, and I will give you an update when I am maybe 100 pages into the book. So I'm just gonna give a little update. First off, I told you guys that I was gonna dive into Girls on Fire, and I am about 150 pages into this. So far I am really enjoying this. It's quite fucked up. I think I knew it was going to be this way just based on the synopsis, but it is eerily similar, I guess, to the underground problems that were happening within Life is Strange. I think the writing in this book is really beautiful. Robin Wasserman does a really good job at painting these two characters extremely differently, and yes, giving them different voices so that you can differentiate between their perspectives. But as the story progresses, you really see how Hannah, not turning into Lacey, but essentially is taking on this personality of the other girl, and her voice within the novel changes slightly. So it's really interesting. I'm listening to this on audio, so perhaps it's more noticeable on audio the way that the author is like enunciating words and the tone she's using, but I feel like it's really effective at showing the toxicity within the relationship between Lacey and Hannah. But at this point, we are in one of Lacey's chapters. I'm interested to see why Lacey has separate chapters, because these chapters are kind of written to Hannah specifically, and they're not really telling the story. They're kind of giving these clues and reasons for what I presume will be the big ending of the novel. I do want to say that this book has very, very intense trigger warnings for suicidal ideation, talks of suicide, characters committing suicide, Satanism, cult, toxic friendships. It has it all, and this might be a little spoiler, but this is my prediction. I feel like the reasons that Lacey's chapters are written in the past tense and talking to Hannah is because whether it's with Satan worshipping or with suicide, something happens to Lacey. I'm interested to see where this goes. It's definitely a tougher read. I feel like this is kind of the theme of Life is Strange. There were some difficult and tough subjects in that video game as well, so we're taking this as it goes. I decided to also start You Must Not Miss by Katrina Leno. This is a book about a girl named Magpie Lewis who is kind of going through a rough patch in her life. Something happened at a party, so her best friend Allison no longer talks to her. She kind of turned the whole school against her. She also walked in on her father, cheating on her mother with her aunt. Her sister has run away because her mom became an alcoholic. A lot is going on to Magpie Lewis. However, what brings Magpie some comfort is this world that she has created and written called Near. In Near, nothing bad has happened to Magpie. Her father's still around, her sister's still around, her and Allison are still talking. So it's kind of working as this perfect like refute away from her world. She realizes that this world that she has created, Near, is real. So far in the book, Magpie has visited Near twice. At this point, I don't really understand Near yet, and I don't know where this story could be going. I do know, however, that a lot of people love this book and have rated it very highly, so I expect it to also be impactful, which still goes with the theme of Life is Strange. So I'm really looking forward to continuing this, and I'll probably continue it today. So today here in Quebec, it is Saint Jean Baptiste. That means that everybody's off. It is the Quebec national holiday, so maybe I could bang this out today. We'll see. I will keep you updated. finishing, like I predicted, You Must Not Miss by Katrina Leno today, and I really enjoyed it. I ended up giving this a 4 stars. So much like with Katrina Leno's other books, if you've read them, each book is a really unique experience. So I had absolutely no idea what to expect going into this book like I did with her previous work that I read. I'm happy to say that it really did not disappoint. I think what I really appreciated about this novel was how angry it was. The atmosphere, I think, is so well done. For the first 3/4 of this book, you are feeling like how Magpie, the main character, is feeling. So it's very melancholy and depressive. We understand exactly what is happening to Magpie and how she is processing it in her mind, and it's never explicitly told to us on page the one big thing that happened to her that made her kind of revert inwards. And then when we go into the land of Mir that Magpie has created, it really feels like an acid trip where it's incredibly like weird, and it often felt like the movie Caroline, where we're in this world and everything feels similar, but there's just something slightly off. The last third of the book just switches and you completely feel this horror and dread that is running through the pages as Magpie is kind of enacting her revenge on those who have scorned her. Needless to say, I think the atmosphere was incredibly well done. Additionally, this book, the way it ends so angrily, I'm not sure if it was the novel's narrative voice, but I really felt this sense of relief for Magpie because the tension was so very well built and accumulating over the course of the novel. I think it really reflects to how people perceive Magpie as well. Even I found her to be a bit of a bore in the beginning and wanted her to shake things up, wanted her to do something interesting. My one complaint would be that I felt the ending was a bit rushed. I spoke about this with Danny over at Current Chapter because we were buddy reading this at the same time. And even though I loved how angry it was, I do think there were some things that were rushed and not explained. Some things felt really right, like some, I don't want to spoil it, but some things that she does felt justified, felt right, and some of them didn't. But I would still highly recommend this book because I think it has an appeal for a lot of people. It is a contemporary, it is a fantasy, it is a horror thriller. I think it touches upon a lot of genre fiction that people really enjoy, so I would highly recommend this one. And then, like we did with Before I Fall, is this similar to Life is Strange? And I would say yes. There is this weird magical element to the book that is reflective of what the main character is going through and how they utilize this power. So I do think that this has the melancholy feel of Life is Strange. I think it has the magical element and what you should do or would do if you had this like power, and it's incredibly like angry and sad like Life is Strange is as well. So I can confidently say that if you enjoyed Life is Strange, I think you would really enjoy You Must Not Miss. The next book I'm going to be reading is We Are Okay by Nina LaCour, alongside still the audiobook for Girls on Fire. From what I understand, I think this one is a more contemporary novel. This follows a main character named Marin who hasn't spoken to anyone from her old life since the day she left everything behind. No one knows the truth about those final weeks and the tragedy that Marin has tried to outrun, not even her best friend Mabel. Months later, Mabel is coming for a visit, and Marin will finally be forced to face everything that has been left unsaid and confront the loneliness that has made a home in her heart. Again, we see themes, we see female friendships, sadness, melancholiness, so looking forward to continuing with this one. Here's a little update. I did finish We Are Okay by Nina LaCour. So I ended up reading this in one sitting, like one day, and I don't even think I updated that I was starting it or reading it, but there is no doubt in my mind that this was a extremely quiet and beautiful novel. LaCour's writing is really beautiful, and it really evoked the sadness that the main character Marin was feeling. The plot is really just an exploration of grief and loss and loneliness, and I really do think that Nina LaCour did an excellent job at capturing that and evoking those feelings within the readers. However, despite how sad this book was and how much I enjoy sad books, it didn't really capture me in the way that I was expecting. I did really enjoy Marin and Mabel as main characters. They were really loving towards one another, and Mabel's family is just so precious, the way that they treat Marin and understand the friendship and love that these two characters have for one another. I really loved the discussions of cross-generational love and friendships between friends, between parents, between grandparents. It was truly touching to read. But as mentioned, this book was really quiet. It definitely worked to invoke the sense of loneliness, but for me, I was more enthralled with the book's ending, where a lot of things are revealed, than with the book overall. Like I said, I did read this in one sitting, so it's far from not being engaging, but I just feel like it was missing a kind of sense of urgency that I feel like would have made me enjoy the book more. As mentioned, the ending was probably my favorite part of the book, and I think that that's where the pacing really picks up. And I think if the novel had this overall general increase in pacing as the book went on, I would have enjoyed it more. I do think though that if you enjoy melancholy reads, that you would enjoy this book, and I ended up giving it a 3.5 stars overall. As for how it relates to Life is Strange, I think like with most of the books in this vlog so far, it definitely has this overarching sense of melancholy. It's the best way to describe it, but I really enjoyed this friendship dynamic that's in the book that I think is really reminiscent of Max and Chloe's relationship. So I do think that overall this is really reminiscent of Life is Strange, and so if you like Life is Strange, I think you would still really enjoy this book. For now, what is left on my TBR to read is Girls on Fire. So at this point, I am 200 pages into this. There's still a really depressing tone to the book, so I'm itching to finish this and really see how it ends, but I am listening to it on audio, and we've had quite a few vacation days, so when I'm on vacation I tend to spend more time reading physically than I do listening to an audiobook. So hopefully I will be able to get this done in the next couple of days. And then the last book I need to read is Blue is the Warmest Color. I do want to read this at the end because it is about a relationship between two girls and one of them having the blue hair, which is very reminiscent of Life is Strange, even though I know that this is not the best encapsulation of what would be Max and Chloe's relationship, but still I'm kind of wanting to savor this one. So hopefully I will finish this one soon and then I can jump right into this. Hello, I just wanted to give you an update that I finished Girls on Fire by Robin Wasserman. This book, it was so good. It is so dark. So dark, like major trigger warnings for everything. Much like Life is Strange, there's a lot of difficult topics in here, a lot of gory topics that you wouldn't think would come from a contemporary novel, yet do. This was an extremely fucked up book, but I dig it. Much like how Hannah, the main character, was obsessed with Lacey, I was obsessed with the toxicity of their relationship. It was an extremely dangerous relationship, and here is where I want to credit the audiobook narrators because I think they did a fantastic job. They did a great job distinguishing between the two characters, and they were insanely captivating that I just wanted to listen to this book all the time. Even when I had put it down, I was constantly thinking about these characters and like where this story was gonna go. Wasserman had a very interesting take on the gruesomeness of high school girls and the dangerousness that comes from the intensity of such a friendship. It was a bit more disastrous in this one, but the concept or the idea of how high school girls can manipulate each other and become codependent with each other was interestingly done. I really enjoyed how Wasserman explored this by stretching it to the ultimate gory levels that it could. I would recommend this book if you really enjoy darker novels, but I do want to emphasize again to please look up the trigger warnings in this book just because it is so dark. I love intense dark books, but I would recommend looking them up before you do so. Now, on the Life is Strange rating, I don't know. I think it has the psychological damage of high school and how bad things do happen to teenage girls, and there is a subplot in Life is Strange where this does happen. I think Life is Strange also delved into this intense manipulation kind of cult-like society that high schoolers develop with one another. Would I say it's very similar to Life is Strange? I don't think so, but I think if you really enjoy that darker element of Life is Strange, then I would highly recommend picking this one up because I think it'll give you the need that you might have to read something dark again. And I'm not sure if I said it, but I did give this 4 stars. And finally, I will be reading Blue is the Warmest Color. Insanely excited to pick this one up. Like I mentioned, I think it has the most beautiful art. I think I will speed through this because I'm so excited to read it, and I will update you probably when I'm finished this, and then we'll wrap up the vlog. saw in the last clip, I started and finished Blue is the Warmest Color by Julie Moreau. I'm not sure if I spoke about what this book is, but essentially it is a tale about a woman named Clementine who, while discovering her sexuality, falls for another woman named Emma. And this was a very quick and short graphic novel, and it was really sad. I haven't quite formulated my thoughts about it. The art is absolutely spectacular. The story is really sad, and it definitely pulled at my heartstrings. I think it is a beautiful narrative, and once again, a depressing book. But yeah, I think I'm gonna settle on a 4 stars. It's definitely one of the more enjoyable books I read this week, and definitely the most impactful one I read. I really like this, and I saw that Julie Moreau actually has another graphic novel that takes place in Montreal, and so I'm really itching to pick that up. But yeah, not much to say just because this one is so short. So where does it fall on the Life is Strange scale? I would definitely say that, much like the other books, it's very depressing, and there is definitely this theme of melancholy there. I think this really does capture the romantic love that happens between Max and Chloe. As we know, we don't really see them grow over time. Like, they stay as their like high school selves, where in this book we kind of do see Emma and Clementine grow over time. So I would say, like, yes for the gayness, but not really for anything else. Like, even the themes in it were not exactly the same. And while I was hoping this one would like match the most, it didn't. We'll just go through my ratings for them again and wrap up this vlog. So the first book I read for this vlog was Before I Fall by Lauren Oliver, and I ended up giving this a 3 stars. It was fun, a nice little campy time travel book, but I didn't really like how some things were executed. The next book I finished was You Must Not Miss by Katrina Leno. Love this one, gave it a 4 stars. I think it was super sick, super well done. Itching to pick up more from Katrina Leno. So far, both her novels have been a hit for me, so really looking forward to that. Then I finished We Are Okay by Nina LaCour, and I ended up giving this a 3.5 stars. The sadness, the melancholy, all of that was present in this book, but I just didn't end up enjoying the plot overall. Then probably my most surprising like in this video is Girls on Fire by Robin Wasserman. This was fucked up. This was wild. I really liked it, and I gave this a 4 stars. And then finally, Blue is the Warmest Color, which I ended up giving a 4 stars as well. So these are all the books I read for this vlog. What did I learn? I definitely learned that people on Reddit are pretty accurate to picking books that I think really did grasp the themes of Life is Strange and the vibe of Life is Strange. I actually think these were really well done, and I really appreciated reading them to get back into like the vibe of Life is Strange. If I had to pick one book to recommend from this pile, it would definitely be You Must Not Miss. I think it has the magical realism element of the Life is Strange video game. It's a bit more horrific and a bit more in your face and to the point, but I think it was super well done, and I really had fun reading it. That's it for this vlog. I really hope you enjoyed it. Let me know if you've read any of these books, and if you've played Life is Strange, did you feel like they related in the same way? If you would like to follow me on any of my social media, I do leave a link to my Twitter, Goodreads, and Instagram down below. Other than that, if you want to support my channel, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell. It makes me feel really good. And that's it. I don't know how to end these things, so I guess I will see you next time. Bye!